Hi, everyone. Welcome to our BYO-Tea virtual Candlewick librarian preview. My name is Sawako Shirota, and I'm the manager of library marketing at Candlewick, and I'm joined by my excellent colleague, Dana Eager.
Hi, I'm Dana, and I'm the School and Library Marketing Associate, and we're so excited to get to talk about some books with you guys today.
Yeah, we're so excited to be able to give you a sneak peek of our newest titles for spring 23, and we're going to be talking all about picture books. And today we've invited two star guests, the multi-award winning frequent collaborators, Carol Boston Weatherford and Frank Morrison. They'll be giving us a sneak peek of their exciting new picture book biography, How Do You Spell Unfair? Magnolia Cox and the National Spelling Bee, which is a deeply affecting and inspirational portrait of the young spelling champion, Magnolia Cox, who became the first African-American finalist of the National Spelling Bee. We're so lucky to get to chat with them and hear all about their brand new work, so be sure to stick around till the end. So in the next slide, you'll see the guest speakers page. And I just also wanted to let you know, if you find it useful, feel free to follow along the Edelweiss catalog with all of the titles in order of presentation with the link in the chat box that we're going to be dropping right now. And you'll also get a copy of the PDF version of the presentation at the end of the event. So don't worry, we're going to be going quick, but you'll be able to get all that information at the end. There's also a Q&A feature, so feel free to submit any specific questions for us through the Q&A box below, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. And also some questions for the guest speakers as well. If you're having technical difficulties, not to worry, we'll be distributing a link to the archive recording of this preview later, so you won't miss a thing. All right, let's get started. Grab your cuppa and we'll spill the tea. First, we are very active on social media, so be sure to follow us and please tag us if you're posting during this preview with hashtag Candlewick Preview. We would love to hear what you guys are most excited about. And be sure to subscribe to our library e-newsletter, Candlewick Circ, and others we have available for you to stay updated on new digital resources, information about recent releases, author interviews, and special sneak peeks at our upcoming titles. Happy to also share that Candlewick will be at School and Library Journal's free online summit, Day of Dialogue, coming up on October 6th. And the New York Times bestselling author Mac Barnett will be kicking us off with an opening keynote and giving us a sneak peek at his newest picture book collaboration with Christian Robinson, 20 Questions. You can register for the event here on the QR code. There'll also be panels throughout the day featuring some of our beloved authors. A CSK Honor Award-winning author of 12 Rounds of Glory, Charles R. Smith Jr., will be sharing with us Soccer Queens, his newest collection of poetry about 13 women soccer stars and the beloved 1999 U.S. soccer team. And also New York Times bestselling author and Muskogee citizen Cynthia Leidy-Smith will give us a sneak peek into her new YA, Harvest House, which is a supernatural mystery that offers information and commentary about the critical issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And lauded middle grade author Lindsay Eager will share with us her exciting debut YA novel, The Family Fortuna. We also wanted to let you know about our exciting new collaboration with Bookalicious, featuring our My First Book Club program. If you've always wanted to incorporate student book clubs into your classroom, school, or district, but didn't know where to start, now you have a place to do so. You can scan the QR code here to learn more about this National Book Club Feast, and your second, third, and fourth grade classrooms are invited to join. Children's book author and expert John Shu will host live meetings with special guest authors, starting with Kate DiCamillo on November 1st, so be sure to check it out. If you're looking for something to read during Banned Books Week, make sure to check out You Can't Say That. Writers for Young People talk about censorship, free expression, and the stories they have to tell, edited by one of the world's leading scholars on children's books, Leonard Marcus. In this, Marcus puts First Amendment challenges in a historical context and takes a promising look at the vibrant support network that has risen up to protect and defend young people's rights. We've also compiled a growing list of relevant challenged Candlewick titles on the Edelweiss catalog that you can get through through the QR code that you probably saw earlier. Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Stephanie. Okay, next slide. We also highly encourage you to tune in to our Black Creators series, which is an educator-focused conversation series that highlights the work of Black authors and illustrators led by Dr. Sonia Chari-Paul, who is the Director of Diversity and Equity at the Teachers College Reading and Writing Project at Columbia University. We are on our second season, and all sessions can be found at blackreadersseries.candlewick.com. And if you're a fan of picture books, Open Studios is for you. Be sure to check out the series of videos featuring the art studios of these talented illustrators and learn all about their creative processes on our YouTube playlist that can be accessed through the QR code. And if you haven't already, be sure to go to our Fall 22 lookbook, which offers a bird's eye view of the current list, along with a series of fun author videos. And the archive recordings of our previous library and previews can be found here as well. We'll be creating a similar lookbook page for spring 23, so stay tuned. And lastly, if you haven't registered for the next middle grade and YA preview event, which will take place on Friday, September 30th, you can do so by scanning this QR code here. It'll be at the same time as this one, and we have an amazing special guest speakers coming to the event, so don't miss out on all the book talk fun. All right, let's move on to the title presentations. First off, we have The Skull by the inimitable New York Times bestselling author illustrator John Klassen of This Is Not My Hat. You may have seen this tweet from him about his book already, which said, "Last year in a library in Alaska, I read a folktale on a random book on a random shelf and have been thinking about it since. And today I wrote the librarian with no book title or author, and in 2 hours, I had a scan of the story and cover in my inbox. Librarians should be running everything." So thank you, librarians, for making this book creation actually possible. Inspired by a Tellurian folktale, Klassen combines his talent for deadpan humor with spine-chilling suspense in this multi-part book about a story of a little runaway girl named Ottila. She finds a lonely house with only one other occupant, a skull, to keep her company. They're both afraid of something lurking. Can brave Ottila save them before the danger comes for the skull in the house again? This is pitch perfect for Halloween with cozy winter vibes, and of course with a warm note of friendship at the heart of the tale. It's coming out in July next year for ages 6 to 9. There'll be a cover reveal in October, so stay tuned. And I also wanted to let you know that the popular Shape trilogy from the dynamic duo Mac Barnett and John Klassen will now be available in paperback coming out in March. So check those out. Then next we have This Is a Story by educator favorite, world's most enthusiastic storyteller and passionate children's literacy advocate, John Shu, illustrated by his good friend and Caldecott Honor winner, Lauren Castillo. This Is a Story is about connecting with literature and finding the right books that will make a person into a reader. It's a love letter to libraries and the people who both visit them and staff them. And the book takes readers on a journey from home to library, from page to the rich world of a reader's imagination. It's also a heartfelt call to action on behalf of the benefit of reading to children, as it focuses on the personal joy that books can bring and encourages readers to explore the magic of choosing just the right story for them. This Is a Story comes out next March for ages 4 to 8. And just a reminder, this is a school, John Shu's debut picture book is now available and have received lovely reviews, including star review from Booklist. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, and next we have Sorry, Sorry Summers by Lenora Bontigo. It is a love letter to the Philippines and to grandmothers. A little bit about the story. Nora loves spending summers with Lola at her Sorry, Sorry store, which is a treasure trove filled with everything you could need. And this year, Nora is big enough to help her grandmother. But when a heat wave strikes, I think we can all know what that feels like, and no one wants to come to the store, Nora worries that she won't get to spend the rest of the summer with her Lola until she gets a sweet idea. The mangoes on the tree outside are finally ripe, and with a bit of measuring, mixing, and a good deal of tasting, Nora and Lola have a refreshing way to bring people together. And back to the Sorry Sorry store. Author and illustrator Lenora Bontigo is from the Philippines, and this story really joyfully celebrates and showcases Filipino life that definitely people will be able to relate to whether you grew up there or not. So you can see some of these gorgeous illustrations. Sorry, Sorry Summers is actually a debut for Lenore Bontigo as author and illustrator. This adorably sweet picture book centers on the relationship between a young girl and her Lola, and it will have you longing for summer and making your own mango ice candy. And don't worry, there is a recipe in the back of the book um, for the ice candy that Nora and her grandmother make in the story. I think we have a couple of interiors. Um, oh, such adorable illustrations. Such a sweet book. There are the mangoes on the tree. um, and then next we have My Bollywood Dream. Inspired by author-illustrator Avani Dwivedi's childhood in Mumbai, this charming picture book is a celebration of one little girl's ambition and a bright and entertaining tribute to Bollywood films and their ability to bring people together. It's Friday night, and on the bustling streets of Mumbai, a little girl and her family are headed to the cinema. As they travel, the girl captures the sights and sounds of the city with her camera and imagines a movie unfolding before her eyes. And when they reach the screening, the room is electric and it's time to dance. Avani Dwivedi was born and raised in Mumbai, India, and later moved to the US to pursue her dream of becoming an artist. Was inspired to create this book based on her love of Bollywood movies, which I also really enjoy, and her childhood experiences of growing up in India. And this is her first picture book, so you don't want to miss it.
Thanks, Dana. So next we have The Tree and the River by master of the wordless picture book and Caldecott honoree of the iconic journey, Aaron Becker. In this brand new picture book, we'll have a few interiors as well. Becker returned to his sweet spot, a wordless sweeping saga that invites readers to pore over the intricate, detailed illustrations that creates a meaningful tale. Becker uses a time-lapse-like approach in the story. You could probably see in the next slide with the titular tree and the river as the only thing that remain constant through the eons. A few more interiors here that's so stunning. In a story that could evoke either the past or a possible future, readers get to follow along as the mighty tree stands on the banks of the river, a winding river, bearing witness to the flow of time and change and impact of humankind. Readers will marvel at intricate details in the settings that are both familiar and strange, and an epic storyline, coming away with their own interpretation of the almighty nature that has withstood the test of time. The Tree and the River will be coming out next March for ages 5 to 9. Next, we have My Dog Just Speaks Spanish, a debut picture book by a brand new talent in children's books, Andrea Caceres. It's an extremely sweet picture book about adjusting to a new place. I think I also have a few interiors for this too. We meet Aurora, who learned English when she moved to the States. Problem is, her spaniel, Nina, did not. Nina knows how to siéntate, but doesn't know how to sit. She knows espera or postre, but not the English terminology. Well, that's okay though, because Aurora and Nina understand each other no matter what, and they're adjusting to their new life together. This is a delightful and endearing story that deals with bilingualism and immigration in a very gentle and positive way, and will connect with many young readers, especially from Latinx families. In a sea of dog stories, this picture book stands out as an original and offers a fresh new way of seeing and loving your dog. Oh, and this title will also be available in Spanish and coming out in May next year.
Yes, so exciting. And next we have 20 Questions, which Sawako also mentioned earlier, as Mac Barnett will be featured at Day of Dialogue. So this book is from the highly popular creators, Mac Barnett and Christian Robinson. It is a picture book that asks, why do you think the way you do? The questions range from, how many animals do you see in this picture? To, which of these ladies just robbed a bank? Brimming with creativity and inspiration, it's a perfect read aloud for families or the classroom. Caldecott honor-winning illustrator Christian Robinson's whimsical illustrations, which I think you can see here, really bring this book to life. Readers will expand their minds and interrogate their assumptions and opinions, knowing that there are no right answers, but taking the time to explore how and why they arrived at the answer that they did. Gently touching upon issues of stereotypes, bias, and imagination, 20 Questions is a book that children and adults alike will ponder, discovering new facets of yourself and the world around you.
Next, oh, I love those illustrations. It's so cute. Yeah, I can't wait for that title to come. Okay, so next we have A Bed of Stars from the award-winning creator Julian is a Mermaid and Julian at the Wedding, Jessica Love. This is a new story that celebrates first-time camping, father-child bonding, and feeling at one with the universe. I also have interiors for these too. Going to bed each night can be dark and scary. The night sky stretches out endlessly, making one sensitive child feel small in comparison. So Dad comes up with a plan, a night of camping out in the desert after a bit of a road trip. After sunset, when the young thinker feels tiny against the vast sky, Dad knows just what to ask to soothe away fears and remind the child that the universe is a friendly place. It offers a new twist to bedtime stories that affirms one's place in the universe, and it's deeply contemplative with gorgeous illustrations that are classically Jessica Love. This is coming out in April next year for ages 4 to 8. Yeah, I love that sunset scene. Okay, and then next we have Moving the Millers, Minnie Moore Mine Mansion, a true story written by Dave Eggers and art by Julia Sarda. Eggers, as you know, is an international literary juggernaut with numerous bestsellers and is a co-founder of A26 National. And Sarda is an incredibly talented artist who has illustrated multiple books for children, including The Queen of the Cave, which she also has authored and just came out this spring and has received a starred review from Booklist. This brand new nonfiction picture book from this dream pair takes an absolutely fascinating tidbit of American history and blows it up. John Minnie Moore built a mine in Idaho, sold it to Englishman Henry Miller, who then married a local woman named Annie and built her mansion. After Henry passed, Annie lost their vast fortune, left with just the mansion where she and her son decided to raise pigs to make a living. But the town wanted those stinky pigs out, so Annie decides to pick up the mansion, quite literally, and slowly roll it away on logs to a new location that is pig friendly, all while still living inside it. The best part is this entire story is completely true. It's narrated with metafictional flair that makes a positive proof that nonfiction can be as lively and artful as any storybook. It will make a great read aloud pick for story time, but there's also definitely a crossover appeal as well. And it's coming out in May for ages 4 to 8.
And next, we have some continuing series that we definitely don't want you to miss. First up is See the Ghost. Max the dog, Baby Cakes the cat, and the Geisel award-winning team behind the See the Books are back for a third installment in this early reader series. Another comical spoof on primers in See the Ghost, the cat, the dog, and the book are grappling with some curious things that they can't see. As with the other books in this series, there are plenty of playfully meta moments and creative plot twists featuring a ghost who may have lost its edge, some troublemaking wind, and a teeny tiny fairy with a wayward wand who may have met her match. Mike Wanuka and David LaRochelle once again play with the concept of who's in control of the story in this delightful and humorous new addition to the See the series. And then we also have the 10th book in the Princess in Black series, which I can't believe. This one is called The Princess in Black and the Prince in Pink. Get ready to meet a brand new hero, Prince Valerian, a knight in shining armor who is secretly the Prince in Pink, a hero whose special skill is saving parties and celebrations. I'm so excited for this latest addition to those wonderful series. And then finally, we have Fergus and Zeke for President. Fergus and Zeke are back for the 5th classroom adventure, and this time they're learning what it takes to be a good leader as they work on a class project with their fellow students in the class for President's Day, learning all about past presidents. and having to work together on a group project, which we've all done, of course. Um, and then next, we also have some brand new early readers that you won't want to miss. First up is Elena Rides by Juana Medina. Of course, we know Juana Medina from the books Juana and Lucas, but in this new early reader, it follows an elephant named Elena who really deeply wants to learn to ride her bike. It's a book about trial and error and staying doggedly devoted to success. Elena will be a sure hit with the younger set who are starting to reach for independence and wanting to read more books on their own and wanting to hop on their own bikes, of course, too. This book is also unique in that it will not only be in English and also coming out in Spanish, but will also have an English Spanish bind up edition, which is super exciting. Um, and then another early reader is Bear and Bird, The Picnic and Other Stories by Jarvis. It is a sweet, gentle early chapter book that explores communicating and being honest, like when Bear swears he will pack for their picnic and doesn't. But Bird knew all along and helps fix it. So it's important to know that you have friends who have your back. And of course, as always, the art from Jarvis is just super endearing and adorable. So you don't want to miss out on these new early readers.
Okay, moving on, we have a few exciting new titles from our imprint from our collaboration with MIT Press, MIT Kids Press. First, we have Bath Time Physics and High Chair Chemistry. We're especially delighted with this new board book series, Big Science for Tiny Tots, featuring pictures of actual children paired with easy to digest science concepts. With these, you can begin teaching your toddler all about the properties of solids, liquids, and gases way before college. It includes an adult-directed note that encourages the introduction of STEM topics and everyday activities. So these are not to be missed, and there'll be more to come. We also have How to Spacewalk Step by Step with Shuttle Astronauts. Astronaut Catherine Sullivan and children's book author Michael J. Rosen team up to explore this nonfiction guide on how to walk in space, complete with fun facts and vibrant encouragement for kids who are interested in doing the same. I think I have a few interiors actually. Catherine Sullivan is the first American woman to step into space and is commonly known as the most vertical person in the world because of her travels to the deepest parts of the ocean and the heights of the universe. She's truly an icon, and this guide to training for and carrying out a spacewalk that they've created is accessible and friendly with Rosin's brilliant illustrations, which I think there's a few in the interiors that are coming up. Yeah, those illustrations too, and encourages children to reach for the stars one step at a time. Okay, and then we also have, yeah, I love the illustrations in that. Unseen Jungle is the first title in the series, which will continue to explore the behind the scenes of science. In this title, we focus on the microbes that aren't visible to the human eye, but how important they are for our survival or even for getting us sick. With full color illustrations packed with facts and even interiors with real scientists, interviews with real scientists and their research, the science in the series is front and center. There's actually an interior in the next slide. And then lastly, from MIT Kids Press, we have Isabel and the Invisible World. Renowned physicist Alan Lightman, author of Ada and the Galaxies, turns his focus to light waves in a second story for children. It's a fictional story chock full of informative nonfiction content about the concept of light, prisms, and waves as we cannot see. The waves we cannot see. It's coming out in April next year for ages 4 to 6. And if you want to learn more about titles from our two imprints, MIT Kids Press and MIT Press, publishing ambitious and engaging books for the next generation of budding thinkers and leaders, follow their social media and make sure to also sign up for their e-newsletter here in the QR code.
And just really quickly, we have some more to note titles that we want to just make sure you don't miss. So first up is One World, combining fascinating biology, spectacular artwork, and an important climate message. Nicola Davies and Jenny Desmond's first book together is a magnificent celebration of life on Earth and a powerful call to action. And then we actually have two really exciting books about peace. First is You, Me, We, which is co-authored by one of Mahatma Gandhi's grandchildren. It is a celebration of the philosophies of Gandhi and the Montessori method, and it draws on both of those philosophies to teach children how to create and find peace. It shows a diverse group of children in a welcoming classroom, meeting all kinds of situations, and is both endearing and instructive. And then we also have The First Day of Peace, which is presented by the Peace Studio, which is a group seeking to assist a global community of artists and journalists in building a culture of peace. So written by Todd Schuster with an afterword by Maya Sotora Ing, who is the author of Ladder to the Moon. Um, they have created this beautiful book about the importance of peace, and the lyrical writing is brought to life by the gorgeous illustrations too. So you don't want to miss all of these gorgeous books. Then next oh,
Yeah, we
it's
also have,
Sawato's turn.
moving on from the peace theme, we also have Lupe Lopez reading Rockstar, featuring the same classroom introducing the first book in the series. The book is peppered with Spanish words throughout in the text and the artwork, and it portrays with great sensitivity the struggle many students face, including difficulty reading and finding one's own best way to succeed. If you're looking for poetry, we have Just the Right Pick, Where I Live, Poems About My Home, My Street, and My Town, which consists of 34 poems gathered by eminent poet and anthologist Paul Bujanesco before he passed, paired with light-filled illustrations by Hyun Myung, evoking the warm details of daily life centered around the ever-contemplative theme of one's sense of home. We also have, Sora Seashells, with lyrical narration written by Helena Koo Ri and luminous illustrations by Stella Lim with Jihyuk Kim. It's an uplifting intergenerational story of a girl who feels other than, and her harmony, her grandmother who visits her from South Korea. They take the bus to the beach to search for seashells, and it shows how love and traditions are passed down from one generation to another and to the next, and demonstrates how kindness can help bridge cultural gaps and differences. Next, we have Christo and Jean-Claude, the story of two groundbreaking environmental artists by Coretta Scott King Honor recipient Jean Neary and acclaimed illustrator Elizabeth Heidel. This is not just a picture book biography of the famed husband and wife artist known for their dynamic site-specific environmental installation art, but also a thought-provoking consideration of the big question, what is art? Switching to books with green awareness themes, we have Water, How We Can Protect Our Fresh Water, which focuses children's attention on fresh water being unequally used and shared around the world. It's a rare book that not only goes into the science of fresh water and the water cycle, but it also goes into the socio-political importance of fresh water around the world. Continuing on with the green theme, we have Trees, Haiku from Roots to Leaves, which is Sally Walker's third book of haiku following Earth First and Out of This World. The whole series is a union of science and poetry that will be of special interest to teachers interested in bringing new STEAM topics into the classroom, so definitely check it out.
And continuing on that same theme, we have Eco Girl, which is a companion to Ken Wilson Max's Astro Girl. And in this one, it features an adorable little girl who loves nature and believes in the reciprocity to all things green. Thoughtful text, intimate illustrations, and an abundance of back matter gently introduce the concept of land stewardship and the joys of giving back. And then we have another gorgeous book from Nina LaCour, author of Mama, Mommy, and Me in the Middle. And of course, with adorable illustrations by Aisling Lindsay, comes a story about loss after a young child loses their balloon, which they have named Looney. Super adorable. And then finally, we have Cloud Babies from Ewan Colfer, author of Artemis Fowl. And it comes a truly compelling empathy building book, which is actually based on real life events in illustrator Chris Judge's own life. So both of those are really stories that are powerful about grief and sickness, but how we can, overcome that. Then next up, switching gears, we have a truly hilarious book in Have You Seen My Invisible Dinosaur? I love this book. It's from Helen Yoon, author of I Am a Unicorn and Off Limits. And here she returns with more fun and original silliness, this time with an inventive find and seek with the most fearsome and difficult to find creature, an invisible dinosaur. Then Windrush Child is um, about a true phenomenon that happened, and in Windrush Child says goodbye to his grandmother and the shores of his Caribbean home before embarking on an adventure across the ocean. And finally, we have the perfect back to school title here, Shy Robin and the First Day of School, in which a little hippo finds that looking out for a new friend can turn shyness into bravery, from Jamie Kim, with her adorable, sweet illustrations. And like I said, just a great read aloud for the first day of school.
Agreed. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this staff presentation. It looks like it's time to move on to our special guest speakers. I feel so incredibly lucky to get to introduce you to the superstar duo today. Both the author and illustrator of the brand new picture book biography, How Do You Spell Unfair? Magnolia Cox and the National Spelling Bee are here with us today. First, we have the New York Times bestselling author and poet Carol Boston Weatherford, who truly needs no introduction, but happy to give one here anyway. Her books have won a variety of awards. Most recently, she's written Coretta Scott King Author Award-winning Unspeakable, The Tulsa Race Massacre, the Caldecott Honor books Moses and Voice of Freedom, which was also a Cyber Honor. She also wrote the critically acclaimed Schomburg and the Newbery Honor book, Box Henry Brown Mails Himself to Freedom. She's currently a professor of English at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina. And then we also have the brilliant Frank Morrison, who has received numerous awards for his picture book illustration, including the Coretta Scott King Illustrator Award and the John Steptoe New Talent Illustrator Award. He has previously collaborated with Carol Boston Weatherford on RESPECT, Aretha Franklin, The Queen of Soul, Standing in the Need of Prayer, a modern retelling of the classic spiritual, How Sweet the Sound, The Story of Amazing Grace, and The Roots of Rap, 16 Bars and the 4 Pillars of Hip Hop. I'm so excited to hear about Carol and Frank's newest collaboration, How Do You Spell Unfair, which brings to light the groundbreaking achievements of Magnolia Cox, a 13-year-old student who made it all the way to the final round of the 1936 National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. She was the first African-American to do so, as spelling bees were a surprising to hear now that it has become a platform that represents a wide range of diverse faces, but were not always open to anyone who could rise through the ranks. In areas where segregation was the law, citywide spelling bees were heavily segregated. This book tells the story of Magnolia's incredible journey. I'll let Carol take over from here and tell you all about it, and then Frank will tell us all about his illustration process before finally diving into author-illustrator conversation and a Q&A from the audience. Thanks so much for being here, Carol, and take it away.
Thank you, Sawako, and welcome everyone. There are a lot of exciting books coming out, and I'm glad that our upcoming book is among them. When I was in elementary school, spelling gave me a sense of accomplishment. I can still remember riding in the car with my great aunt and announcing to her that I knew how to spell transportation. I think I was in 1st or 2nd grade. And at the time, of course, transportation seemed like a really big and important word. Later, as a mother myself, I helped my own son train for the spelling bee that was going to take place at his school for his grade level. If I recall, he placed 2nd. I cheered last year when 13-year-old Zaila Avant-Garde became the first African-American to win the Scripps National Spelling Bee. That same year, the US Senate passed a resolution honoring Magnolia Cox, who in 1936 became the first African-American to finish in the top 5 in that competition. As Sawako said, spelling bees, the National Spelling Bee now looks like a little United Nations. There are contestants representing diverse cultures and nationalities, but that was not always the case. In the segregation era, some citywide spelling bees were whites only. After all, if Black children could outspell white children in competition, it would prove that Blacks were just as smart as whites and were not inferior, as racists suggested. How Do You Spell Unfair covers one girl's challenge in the fight to integrate spelling bees. After winning the spelling bee in Akron, Ohio, Magnolia Cox became a local celebrity, right up there with Ohio's own Jesse Owens and Joe Louis. And as an aside, 1936 was the same year that Jesse Owens was in the Berlin Olympics, during which he challenged Hitler's Aryan superiority falsehood, Nazism, in other words. So the city gave her a big send-off, complete with a marching band. On the train ride to Washington, Magnolia had to move to the Blacks Only coach at the Mason-Dixon line. In the nation's capital, she was barred from the hotel and had to sit apart from other competitors. If that wasn't enough, the judges threw Magnolia a curveball that led to her elimination. The word that threw her a curve was nemesis, and it was not even on, the word nemesis was not even on the list of words that contestants were told to study. How Do You Spell Unfair is the story of her groundbreaking achievement in the face of racial prejudice. I'm going to read a brief excerpt from How Do You Spell Unfair and give you a sneak peek of Frank's illustrations. Letters and telegrams poured in from far and wide. Magnolia's school community was rooting for her too. Her teacher, Miss Grieve, bought her a new dress, and a man gave her a beautiful necklace. Magnolia also received 2 dictionaries to study. She spent 3 periods a day prepping for the National Bee. She memorized 100,000 words. Can you believe that? At Union Depot, Akron's train station, a military band, and a crowd of thousands saw the spelling champ off to Washington. For her first train ride, Magnolia got on board with her mother, her teacher, Miss Grieve, and Mabel Norris, a reporter from the Beacon Journal, the newspaper that sponsored the Akron Bee. "This is the most fun I've ever had," said Magnolia. But she was about to face some hard truths. Can you spell discrimination? D-I-S-C-R-I-M, I'm not spelling it, I-N-A-T-I-O-N. Do you even know what it means? Magnolia would soon find out firsthand. So those are a few spreads from the book, and some of my words to go with Frank's amazing illustrations. This is my 5th collaboration with the fabulous Frank Morrison. I'm excited for you to read it. Can you spell enthused? Frank?
Thank you so much, Carol. That was lovely. And yeah, that was such a treat to get to hear your work and process, especially in telling such an incredible story of an individual who has had such an impact in our history. And yet, sadly, we know very little about. Yeah, it just becomes that much more crucial in bringing to light Magnolia's achievements for the young generation of students out there who are aspiring spellers and beyond. Okay, so we're, like Carol said, we are now moving on to Frank's presentation on illustrating this powerful story. Frank, take it away.
Hey everyone, how you doing? I'm getting a video together right now. Let's see. Hello. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? And yes, I am Frank Morrison, and I'm so honored to be here today. This is such a blessing to work with you guys, man. I swear, I'm the corny dad. I love homework, and my kids call me corny because I do love homework. And some of the things I enjoy doing, like with Carol, is spelling. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. I remember when I got my first A, and I think I was in spelling on my spelling test. I think I was in the 3rd grade, right? And my teacher, I went to a Catholic school, and my teacher, that was like one of those really cool teachers, and was kind of like, wow, her name was Mrs. Jody. And she actually gave me a hug after I won, because I was she was like, oh, you did so great, you did so great. And I studied and was able to actually see an A on that test. So moving forward with my children, I tried to infuse that into them, and they hated it. No, they actually love spelling. And so, but it was a lot of fun. And then working on this project is exciting because I get a chance to illustrate And I get a chance to go back in the past. That's the thing about being an illustrator. Sometimes you have to be a time traveler, if I can say. You have to be able to work in the past and the present and bring everything that you learned from the past to the present. And in a cool way sometimes. That's what I like to do, in a cool way. So when I illustrate the books, I had a chance to go back and check out Jesse Owens. And oh my gosh. And what I like to do, I totally nerd out. I go and get any video I can find on Jesse Owens. I get anything that I could see that literally has Jesse Owens in it. Then I had the Brown Bomber. I got to research the Brown Bomber, and then I get to go out and one of my favorite, and anyone that knows me knows I love to dance. So I get to check out Bojangles as he dances, and I just go out and I literally just go and get any videos I can find, and I play them on the side of me as I paint and I illustrate. And so that's the best part. But then it's sad parts too, because while you're researching those time periods, you realize the racism that goes on with Magnolia, and you realize that how unfair things are. And then you try to figure it in as an illustrator, you're trying to figure out, how do you show this? Well, you're not bringing everybody to tears, and that's the tough part, because I'm almost in tears as I look at these stories and I see how unfair it was back in 1936 and in the 30s. And it's a tough one sometimes to deal with. But and I believe that the reason why we illustrate these books about history is so we don't repeat. So we get to remind people what we went through so we don't have to go through it again. And I think that's what my part to do as the illustrator is at this point, is to do it, right? So that's so much fun. And then getting a chance to work with Carol. What? The award-winning Carol? Are you kidding me? Getting to work with her? Jeez. 5 books. 5 books, y'all. 5 books. And I'm hoping we get 5 more. But let's see, we keep our fingers crossed. But just working with her and her brilliance. And it's just always a blessing as well, man. That's so much fun. And but this is what I do. I love working and I love illustrating. And I love being able to see the faces on the children after I do a book, and I go to I got to do a book signing over the weekend, and getting to see them and holding the books and seeing themselves in the books. That's so much fun as well. So I really, really enjoy this. And I thank you guys for having me. And this is always truly a blessing and a treat. It's a treat. This is like the fun part of illustration, getting to talk about the books, So that's what I have to say. And now I'm ready to talk with Carol. You ready to talk, Carol?
Well, Frank, do you know I have a few images you sent me you wanted to share? Do you want to screen share? Do you want me to screen share a few of those sketches that you'd like to share?
On. We can talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
So you're going to talk about the images first, or we want to chat? You talk about the images.
Okay, this is the well, this was fun right here. Geez, working with Bojangles, you have to go and research and eat jelly roll. Oh my god. So this is Fast Water. I think it's Fast Water, right? And and then we have my man right here going down the steps, and then just going out there. I swear I nerd out. I went and found every video I could find on Bo Jackson. I mean, what's that man's name?
Bojangles. Bill Bojangles Robinson.
It's weird. I'm looking at the restaurant. I go by it every day by Dunkin' Donuts. It's right there. Best dirty rice on the planet right there, right? But Bojangles is the bomb. I mean, him going up that step, and he was so neat and petite with it. I even went as far as I watched this movie. I watched the movie that he was in as well. That was dope. That was really dope. I think Gregory Hines played in that. He played him in the movie. It was really good. So I go all out. I'm just straight. I'm living in the 20s or the 30s. I'm living in the time period for a while. What else we have here? Oh, yeah. The Brown Bomber. She's looking so proud with Jesse right there. And in the back, I try to sneak in graffiti as much as I can, Kyle. Y'all pardon me. If I could get it in, I would. If I could put some real bubble letters back there, but I kept with straight letters and they champs in the background. I thought that would be cool. This would represent that cool color. And that is like those flavors. It's like strawberry and chocolate, like the Napoleon ice cream. That's what I was thinking for the background. Yeah. So it gives you some flavor to it.
My mom's eating a lot of that right now. Neapolitan ice cream. Yeah.
There you go. Right? What else you got here? What else you got? Oh man, you know what's crazy is that I had did so many different color cover concepts, and this is the only part when you illustrate, you have no control over the cover. And so you'll see a couple of them, but when they threw this light in the background, I was done. They didn't have to say anything else. I was really floored. But I think we have a couple. Do you have the sketches for the cover? Let's see. Oh, we have this one. This is when they cheated. This is when they cheated. It's like, come on, really? Really? And so I had to look like sinister characters and that kind of stuff that would look like someone that would cheat. And that's where these characters come from. And then this is her.
At one point, they also insulted her about her name.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
No,
I'm thinking about somebody else. I'm sorry. I'm on a different book.
That's all right. That's all
Yeah.
right. This is her by herself on stage where everyone else was pretty much together. Then she had to sit by herself. And this is kind of weird to think. If you look, it's so surreal now. Could you imagine in real time? These people lived this in the 30s. We're just looking over it. We're glancing over it. But could you imagine the humility you must felt when you're dealing with this kind of stuff? You have to be discriminated and think that's normal. Oh gosh. So this is her by herself. And then what else do we have? I think we have some, here's the sketches. This is close to the book cover. All right, this is sketch number 1. We have another one. I think it's 4 of them. Sketch number 2. I like this overhead.
I like that.
Yeah, that was dope. I thought that was dope. All right. Then we have here. This is her. This is the thing this is one we landed on.
Yeah.
And then we have another sketch coming up. I think one more, right?
Oh, I think that might be the last one I have.
That was it. That was
Yeah.
it. There we go. There we go. And that's, it's just fun. I mean, it's just being able to have the opportunity to bless people with sharing history is always is doing my part to share in history is always a blessing. Always a blessing.
One thing Frank and I talked about was the historical context and writing about these difficult historical subjects and why it's necessary. And it's necessary not just so we don't repeat it, but because it is being repeated, perhaps maybe in subtler ways, without the whites only and without the, without the, the Negro signs and all, but just the same. Students nowadays, students of color, are the victim of various types of slights that are discriminatory. Maybe my own daughter said she went a whole year without ever getting called on in class. What? She was the only Black student. This was she graduated from high school in 2005. So,
wow.
That tells you how recent. She never was called on in that class. And the teacher was a coach. I think he was the baseball coach or something. And after a while, she said she just stopped raising her hand.
Jeez. Oh,
her hand. So, and this was and I experienced slights myself. In 8th grade, a teacher asked me if I had really written the paper that I had written. He just didn't think, he couldn't conceive of the fact that a Black student who had come to this school, to that exclusive private school from public school, could know the English language. And so he was convinced that because the paper was good, that I plagiarized. And he gave me a B, wrote a B on the paper, and then wrote at the top, "Did you write this?"
Oh my
parents were paying for me to go to that school, Yeah. So, I mean, these things they continue to manifest in our culture, and therefore they continue to affect children. We write about these topics for children because these things affect children.
Yeah.
So if we shield them from it, they think that, oh, it must be me.
Yeah.
Because they can't connect the dots.
Yeah.
But it's really important, I think, and children's books like this, I think, are a great vehicle to connect the dots for them. How did you handle that kind of thing with your kids, Frank, when they were?
I could talk about a subject that happened not just currently, like 2 weeks ago. My friend, he's an artist, and he wanted to send his daughter to a better school, because he was, he wanted to challenge her. He felt like the school wasn't being challenging her enough. And he put her in a private school. Now he has to drive her to the school. It takes about 40 minutes to drive there and back. I mean, 40 minutes both ways, almost an hour, you know. And he drives there, but she in this grade school, Catholic school at that, private school. And his daughter now, no one speaks to her. She's one of the only Black children in their class. And she went from being popular, and now because she's smart, now she goes to a more challenging school, and she's one of the only African Americans, I mean, maybe two others in the classroom. No one speaks to her, or she'll go through, one day they'll speak, one day they won't, and then she hears the racial slurs, first time ever, first time ever, and she's in, I think, the 5th grade. And so then she decides that she would join sports. She tells her dad and her mom that she figures that if she joins sports, then they can see her athleticism, and maybe they can like her more, or she could make some friends on the field because they're all on one team. Maybe if they work together, maybe that may work. But she's just trying to find ways to be accepted. And that's just insane.
It's a heavy burden for a child.
It really is. It really is.
Just like, Magnolia Cox, she has this achievement of being the first African American to win her local spelling bee. And she's on cloud 9. They give her the send off, and then, like you say, they make her sit by herself.
Yeah.
They couldn't stay at the hotel. Her mother and her mother couldn't stay at the hotel with other kids. They had to stay with a Black surgeon who opened his home to them. So
it's like, it reminds me of the Notebook. Was the Green Card? What is the book where they?
Oh, Ruth and the Green Book. Ruth and the Green Book. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know where to stay and where you can't stay when you go down in the South. Even when I was in growing up, I dealt with that when I went to Christian school. I went to St. Paul's, and I went to a Christian school, and I cringed at February because we would do Black History Month. We wouldn't just talk about Martin, but we would talk about slavery. So, geez, I was like, there was only my buddy Bruce McDonald. There was a girl that her name was Andrea, and myself. We were the only 3 Blacks and African Americans in our classroom. And so every time though that history book would come up, we would hear all the most racist things ever. And we went to Christian school. And so, we kind of cringed at it. This is why I love that we're able to show us as heroes now as well, what we went through, but now we can fast forward, show the wrong in it, then show us as heroes as well, and how we overcome the good stories. So it's,
And I love the way you, of course, I had it in the text too, but I love the way your illustrations convey the historical context and show some of the other important figures, pop culture figures, sports heroes, like Jesse Owens and Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, who, was just so important to, like such a hero for Black people at that time. And so was Jesse Owens. And then, of course, you show the jazz, the entertainers. I love that. I love writing about music more than anything else. And frankly,
really?
Some musical books together. So I just love the way you portrayed Fats Waller and Bojangles Robinson.
Yeah,
I just have a thing for that era.
I really do. I love that swing era. I love that swing, that jazz, that heavy jazz, that the 40s, the cool jazz sound. I'm a huge jazz guy anyway. My collection is ridiculous. When CDs went out of style, I was like, what am I going to do with all these things? I had a kid that I was so proud of. Now you can show it off when people come with the nice covers. Now everything's on the phone.
Right. But, I hope that the kids will be inspired to find out more about. There's not a whole lot more information about Magnolia Cox. Her story is in the book, but I hope they'll be inspired to look up, Jesse Owens and Bill Bojangles Robinson, Fats Waller, and Brown Bomber, and find out more about them. And
hold on, where's she from? She's from Jersey, right?
Who? Magnolia?
Magnolia.
No, Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
There was another girl. There was another Black girl in that same competition, and she was from New Jersey. I can't remember her name, but we make mention of her in the book. I'm not sure. I don't think we show her in the book, and she didn't make it to the finals like Magnolia.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, I'm just so excited that we got to work together on this book, and I'm really excited about it because I think kids will be able to identify, because it's about a spelling bee. Kids still they may be sounding out words and spelling words wrong. Spelling is not as important in writing in the early grades as it used to be when I was in school. You had to have the words spelled right when I was in school. Now they just sound it out. No, but spelling is still important. It's still a subject in school.
Funny.
And I think kids will really identify with the story. And one thing about kids that I love is they recognize injustice when they see it.
Yes.
They're not like adults. The kids say, oh no, that's wrong. Kids will read my books about the civil rights movement or about segregation, slavery, and they'll ask, why were people doing that? Who made those stupid rules?
Yeah.
And I suspect the kids will ask some tough questions after reading this book as well.
Yes, hopefully you do. We play that at the bus stop. My bus stop is right here. And we are like the parents that are literally there at the bus stop, driving the kids to school when the bus is late. And we have a basketball court right here. And so we always play fair. And some of the times the kids will come over and they're upset, and we'll try to be that parent that lets them know that, hey, you know what, let's not do this part today. But we always preach fairness. Regardless of what color they are, especially with my skateboarders. We have all diversity come to the house with my skateboarder sons and my daughters. So we're always about fairness. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much. I actually have gotten, while you guys are talking about the historical setting and iconic figures that surrounded that area, from the area that Magnolia is from, I have a person asking a question, Donna Rasmussen. Hi, Donna. I just wanted to I think she has asked two questions, one for you, Frank, and one for Carol, about your storytelling technique, your research behind the book. Could you tell us more about how you guys set up the scene in your narrative storytelling, in your visual storytelling? What kind of research went into it? Did you guys interview anybody from that era? How did you just kind of capture that whole history so accurately?
I think if you wanted to interview people from that era, I think it may be a little too late. A lot of them are dead. Okay. So, like Joe Lewis, all those people, everybody whose name we dropped in the story is dead and gone. So, but there were, because it was a national spelling bee and a local spelling bee, and they were sponsored by newspapers, there was a historical record. So I went on newspapers.com and read newspaper articles about the spelling bee, so I could find out what words people missed, who went to what round, who was eliminated, and just what the local area did for Magnolia after she won. So I really relied on newspapers. I will say that many years ago, over 10 years ago, I read an adult book about Magnolia Cox, and it was called Magnolia. It was written by A. Van Jordan, and it's a book of poems. And that is the only thing I did not consult in working on this book, because I wanted to, do my own research. But I do thank Van Jordan for at least introducing me to the name Magnolia Cox. And if you want to read an adult book about her, check that out, Magnolia.
Gotcha. Well, with me, what did I do? When I illustrate, I pretty much tell you, I'm searching everywhere. I Google everything. I'm on bookstores, book sites, online bookstores. I go to Barnes and Noble or my local bookstores, and I buy as much material on the subject as possible. And this one, I just had to go out and buy all the stuff I could find on Jesse Owens. It gives me an excuse to add to my collection of books over there. Jeez. So I love books, and I have a book delivered to my house every day. I don't know why. I'm just infatuated with picture books and books of art and history. It's just, you have to research. There's a lot of research that comes along with it. And then you just buy the visuals, and then instead of having graffiti and all this other stuff, I just tape all the characters to the wall or to the canvas as I paint, so I can be as accurate as possible when I'm working on the books. And then I play music from the time period as well. So I'll have the jazz going, or and then if I'm on a deadline, I'll have some hip hop going, maybe some Nas or some Wu-Tang.
And that's the one thing I don't do. I don't, even when I write about music, I don't play the music. Like I wrote about Billie Holiday, but I didn't play the music, because when I write my poetry, it's like I have to compose that music in my head. So I can't listen to one soundtrack and then create this other soundtrack, because with poetry, it's all about how the words sound, how the lines sound. So I'm trying to, I'm trying to create that lyricism, that musicality, and I can't have these other sounds around me. So I have to do that in the quiet. Now,
Wow.
I may play some of the music, in the car when I'm thinking about writing. But when I'm actually writing, no, I don't play the music.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't do it. I don't do it.
I mean, you
Because
guys
I
both-
almost have to be able to hear the voices of the people that I'm,
Gotcha.
trying to write about.
Gotcha.
They have to speak to me.
Wow,
Do you
that's-
find yourself watching any TV shows about them or anything like that? Or
Stuff like that. I definitely do, watch documentaries sometimes, and old footage on YouTube about the period that I'm writing about. Yeah, I definitely do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's part of my research. Yeah, definitely.
incredible how music plays such a huge role in both of your process. It's so interesting. And I actually have another question from Denise. Thank you, Denise, for this question. She's asking about the cover, which actually this is the first time that we're sharing the cover with you guys. You guys get to get the first look. I know the live event that we're just showing, and I hope you guys didn't screenshot anything. There's going to be another cover reveal coming, an official one. I know, Frank, we were talking about that. But yeah, Magnolia's profile, you'd chosen to feature her profile, which was an interesting choice, is what Denise is saying. It's so unexpected. Can you tell us any particular reason behind that?
When I'm doing cover sketches, I'm going through, I have sketchbooks. I have tons of sketchbooks, and anyone know that I'm a fine artist. And so what I do sometimes, I reach back into the books that I've, my books from years ago. And I think I found that sketch that I did for a series I had with my cutest kids. And they were live on stage. It was a part of that series. And that was just an image that I showed from there. But it's, I thought it was kind of cool to show the profile, because I think that's really what we're profiling her at this point. We want to show her in a good light, in a great light, and we're profiling. So I think that's why they chose it. With covers, the illustrator really doesn't get too much say so, when it comes down to the cover point. So in the cover selection and the interior, they get to play around and do a bunch of things with it. But the cover is pretty much the publisher has that choice on that. I was happy.
And the marketing people weigh in on it. They carry weight when it comes to that cover.
Is that who's doing this? Is that who's pushing me around?
I found that to be true. I've had people say, well, the marketing people think it should be something else. Even the title of the book, the marketing people think that it should be a different title,
Really? They go from title?
They're the ones who have to sell it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So they really have a lot of weight, carry a lot of weight. Yeah.
Did you have other titles?
Not for this. No, this was the original title. But I don't. When I write something, I don't get married to the title. In fact, I'm very superstitious. I always title things last. So sometimes I don't even have a title. I think if you have a title, my superstition is if I have a title at the beginning, I'll never write the book.
Oh,
that's my superstition.
Get out of here!
And I've got a few books that I already have that have titles. And they're not written. They're not written either.
Really?
I've given a couple that are I've titled a couple already, ideas, and none of those are written.
So Kara, I gotta ask, what are you sitting on? About 300-400 different ideas? How many books you got in your trunk?
Oh, not 300. No, maybe 30. I mean, if you're not counting, like I've got stuff in my file drawers that I've forgotten about, ideas in my file drawers.
Wow.
I'm getting, I'm older now, and I'm thinking, I gotta hurry up. I gotta hurry up and get some of these things going and really figure out what I want to write.
Are you still coming up with new ideas? Are you still, is Magnolia, is that a new idea or is that from the Trove?
I mean, as recently as like yesterday, maybe, always.
Really?
I have people ask me, do you ever get writer's block? And the answer is no, because I have more ideas than I have time to write about. If I get blocked on one project, I can go to another.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So what is your routine? You get up and
I don't have a routine. Right. I don't have a routine anymore. At one time I did.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
At one time I did have a routine when my kids were growing up because I would write when they were at school. But then I took on then I got a full-time job as a professor, and I'd write on my days off. And now I'm a caregiver. And so it's like catch as catch can. I'm just still trying to get the feel of what, still trying to figure out what my routine is now, because it changes. It just changes. I just write and just always try to remember what I'm here to do, what I'm on this earth to do. And that is to create.
Isn't that what we're here for? I've always
and that way I'll never really lose sight of it. I may have other things that are vying for my time and that I have to prioritize at that time, but I always know that I must write, because I say a writer is not what I do. Writing is not what I do, it's who I am.
Whoa, that's nice. Wow. I have a question. This happened to me. I did a school visit, right? And it was one of these horrible schools. Jeez. They had bullets in the driveway. I couldn't believe it. And no lie. I didn't know they had security throughout the whole school, follow me with security. And I couldn't believe I was going to this school. It's not far from me, believe it or not. And the kids were so disruptive. It was one of the worst school visits I ever did. And I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I was ready to retire from school visits, from that one school visit. It was really something else. And then I was in, this is how long ago it was. I was in a Blockbuster. You ready?
Oh,
a Blockbuster. I that old. Blockbuster.
Well, I'm gonna play dumb. What's Blockbuster?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Google that. The kids are like Blockbuster. All right, but I'm standing in Blockbuster, waiting in line with my little tape, and this kid tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Mr. Morrison, I'm in SCAD now because of that school visit. You inspired me." And I was like, I didn't think I got through to anyone. They were talking over me. It was ridiculous. It was almost like me on a phone call with my agent. I had nothing to say. I had to listen to everybody. But either way, but it was just, I was shocked. And, it made me realize that we matter. We matter. It may be that one person we touch. Have that ever happened to you? Have you had that experience? Have you seen the children that you taught, the students, move on?
Well, yeah, I did. I had a school visit in the aftermath, what they call the unrest in Baltimore at my old elementary school, which is a public school, all Black. And I wanted to go back there, and I had gotten my publishers to donate some books. I had donated some books myself, not the books I had written, but just books for the kids, so the kids could have books that summer. And I got to the school, and the school had no librarian. And the library was just it was a sanctuary for me when I was there. But this is back in the about 5 years ago. It was the year that Freddie Gray got killed here in Baltimore. And they had no librarian. Nobody really knew I was coming that day, even though it was planned.
Yeah.
The people had to set up the projector herself, the LCD projector, whatever you call it. Had to set that up herself. My mother, who was in her 80s at the time, actually she was 90, and a librarian who from the Pratt Library who was there, helped me set up the library myself. We had to move tables. And after the presentation, I told my mother, I said, I'll never come back. You guys did 2 sessions. So after the first session, I said,
of course it's 2.
I'll never come back. I'll never come back here again. And then at the end, after the second session, a little girl raised her hand and said, "When are you coming back?" And I felt like, oh God, well, I haven't been back yet, but I'm not averse to going back. But you just never know, how you're touching someone. Maybe that kid will tell you, or maybe not. And that's the beautiful part about writing these books. So many more kids will experience our books than we can ever meet in person or in school visits. We just never know how we're touching them. And so that's the beauty of it for me. That's the reward.
It really is. And it's so unfortunate for those schools that, here's the sad part about what we talk about with racism. It's systemic racism in a sense. And then, you deal with the redlining of the communities. And these schools aren't like this because they just happened to be this way. They just happened. These were set up almost literally to fail in a sense, because it seems like there was no funding. So if there's no funding and school is disruptive and everything is going on, what is that child learning? What is he really learning? And then when it comes down to competing in life later on, and all the skills that they were being able to or should have learned, now they have to compete with someone that went to a better school that learned on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday without the disruptions of poverty or living in deprived areas and that kind of stuff. And now you're sending them out into the world to go to college now. You know, if you want to get this job, you have to do this, you have to do that. And so what are we really doing? I wish that could be something that could be looked upon in society, where these schools, especially when making education sacred, something that everyone has the right to a good education.
Yeah, because it has so much, education has so much potential to be an equalizer. And I think we're about running out of time here, and
I'm sorry.
turn it back over to our moderators.
Yeah.
But always love talking with Frank. Always,
Oh,
and collaborate, of course.
This is such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, you guys. And I have just one more question that just came through, and then I think this will be the last one.
Okay.
Lisa Von Drasek, thank you for sending along this question. Frank, I feel the emotional life in your illustrations. When you're working, do you feel these big feelings of isolation and anxiety that are on the page?
Yes. Yeah, they're hard. Yeah. And then I have to dance my way through it. I swear it's tough, because you have to literally look at like a book Carol and I did earlier. We have to look at things that you tend to scrunch at. Like, what the heck? You have to deal with that all over again. And it's you know, so it's really, you try to find an even par where you're not showing your discomfort, but you're trying to show it where people can have empathy and not anger, and for the character. And so, you know, that, or for the situation. And so that's one of the hardest part about working in history books for myself. That is the hardest part. But yes, I usually dance my way through it, or find some kind of perspective where it could be challenging to the eye, you know.
Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, I just listening in and was lost track of time, and I realize it's a few minutes after 3, so sadly we'll have to wrap up. But thank you both so much for joining us today. This was such a treat to get to talk to you both. And everyone, make sure to check out How Do You Spell Unfair. It's coming out in April next year. And sending along a thunderous round of applause to our guest speakers. All right, so I can't believe it, but it looks like it's time to wrap up the preview. So yeah, we hope that you enjoyed the preview as much as we did. Let me just turn on my camera so I can finally say goodbye to you guys with my face on. So our next preview will be on Friday, September 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern time, same time as this one, and we'll be featuring our newest middle grade and YA books that you won't want to miss, so be sure to register for that event. We'll open with guest speakers Whitney Phillips and Ryan M. Milner, who are professors and the authors behind the new MIT Press nonfiction title, Share Better and Stress Less, a guide to thinking ecologically about social media. And we'll close with Cynthia Ladich-Smith, who will tell us all about her exciting new YA novel, Harvest House. Make sure to pick up your virtual goodie bag on your way out, which includes the slides from today and other helpful resources for the featured titles. It'll just pop up right in your browser after you click out of this preview. And if not, you'll get a follow-up email from us in your inbox, so not to worry. So yeah, we hope you are having a lovely back to school season this fall, and be well wherever you are. Happy reading, and we look forward to seeing you again at our next event. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
See you
Weekend,
next time.
everyone.
Bye.
All right, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.